Good evening, everybody, and good evening and welcome councillors, executive leadership team, community members and council staff to tonight's ordinary council meeting. My name is Councillor Leisha Kokoczynski and I am the Mayor of Hepburn Shire Council. We first of all will start with the acknowledgement of our traditional owners. We would like to acknowledge we are meeting on Jara people country, of which members and elders of the Djadja Wurrung community and their forebears have been custodians for many centuries. On this land, the Jara people have performed age-old ceremonies of celebration, initiation and renewal. We acknowledge their living culture and their unique role in the life of this region. I now move to the Statement of Commitment. I would like to take the opportunity to read Council's Statement of Commitment. Normally we would all say this together, but given that we are on live streaming, I will read it out on behalf of all the councillors. We, the councillors of Hepburn Shire, declare that we will undertake on every occasion to carry out our duties in the best interests of the community, and that our conduct shall maintain the standards of the Code of Good Governance so that we may faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in this council by the people of the Hepburn Shire. Now, I must commence the formal part of this evening with a very long preamble, which I must read out to you. Tonight, on Tuesday, 19 May 2020, we mark history as Hepburn Shire Council for the first time ever are conducting its ordinary council meeting virtually, operating with new technology and embedding new legislation into our practice, which is a new experience for each of us, both councillors and Hepburn Shire community. The health, safety and well-being of the community has and always will be paramount consideration of our council. Council continues to be guided by the government directives and wants to do the right thing for the health of our community during COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 Omnibus Emergency Measures Act 2020, passed by the Victorian Parliament on 23 April 2020, included changes to the Local Government Act 2020, which affect the conduct of council meetings. These changes became effective from 1st of May 2020 and will conclude on 1st of November 2020. Council is now able to hold virtual meetings and councillors can participate in meetings remotely by electronic means of communication. In the spirit of open, transparent and accountable governance, this ordinary council meeting is being live streamed on council website and you will be able to view the proceedings of the meeting, councillor deliberations and voting. The meeting is also being recorded and will be made available on the council website as soon as practicable after the meeting. As this is the first time we are conducting a virtual council meeting, please excuse us in advance should we experience any technology or teething problems. Pursuant to the ministerial guidelines, should technology problems be encountered by the council where there is an inability to be able to broadcast this meeting to the public, then the meeting must be adjourned until resolution or postponed. Council's meeting will be conducted tonight in accordance with the following: the Local Government Act 2020, the COVID-19 Omnibus Emergency Measures Act 2020, the Minister's Good Practice Guidelines MGPG-1 virtual meetings, Council's Meeting Procedure Local Law 1, and the Hepburn Shire Council Councillor Code of Conduct. A priority for Council was to continue to allow for the opportunity for our community to engage with Council via public participation time. The Minister for Local Government has encouraged councils to make arrangements to allow members of the public who wish to appear before Council to do so through virtual means or other alternatives, including the provision for written statements to be read out at the virtual Council meeting or posted prior to the meeting. For tonight's meeting, we received no public questions or requests to address Council. In accordance with section 13 of our meeting procedures, local law, a person, including any representative of the media, must not operate photogenic, audio or video recording equipment or any other recording device at any council meeting without first obtaining the consent of the chairperson. At this point, no one requested that they would like to record this meeting. Permission does need to be sought if someone wants to take footage and use it or broadcast it. I also remind everyone that local government decision-making, unlike state and federal government, does not afford the benefit of parliamentary privilege, and hence no protection is afforded to councillors and council officers for comments made during meetings which are subsequently challenged in a court of law and determined to be slanderous. Opening of meeting and attendance. As this meeting is being conducted virtually in accordance with the ministerial guidelines, councillors are required to advise individually whether they can hear the proceedings and hear their other councillor colleagues, that they can see their councillor colleagues and be seen by others, that they can be heard by their councillor colleagues. We don't usually do a roll call, but I will do it this evening. So now I will do a virtual whip around the room and ask all councillors to advise that they are present and whether they can hear and that they can see. I will confirm to each councillor whether they can be heard. Then we will know that all councillors who are meeting virtually tonight will be present. Councillor Cottrell, Deputy Mayor, I will start with you. Councillor Cottrell, can you please state that you are present and whether you can hear and that you can see all of your colleagues?
Madam Mayor, I am present and I can confirm that I can see all of my colleagues and that I can hear the proceedings.
Thank you, Councillor Cottrell. I can confirm that I can see you and that I can also hear you. Councillor Robson, can you please state that you are present and whether you can hear and that you can see all of your colleagues?
Yes, I confirm that I am here, I am present, I can see all my colleagues and I can hear them as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Robson. I can confirm that I can see you and I can also hear you. Councillor Redwood, AM. Councillor Redwood, can you please state that you are present and whether you can hear and that you can see all of your colleagues? Councillor Redwood, could you unmute, please, and repeat it?
And I confirm that I am present and that I can see and hear all of my colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor Redwood. I can confirm that I can see you and that I can also hear you. Councillor Newitt, can you please state that you are present and whether you can hear and that you can see all of your colleagues?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can confirm I'm present and can see and hear all of my councillor colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Newitt. I can confirm that I can see you and that I can also hear you. Councillor Henderson, can you please state that you are present and whether you can hear and that you can see all of your colleagues?
Madam Mayor, I'm present and I can see and hear all of my colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. I can confirm that I can see and that I can also hear you. Councillor May. Councillor May, can you please state that you are present and whether you can hear and that you can see all of your colleagues?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I am present and I can both hear and see all of my councillor colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor May. I can confirm that I can see you and that I can also hear you. I confirm that I can see everyone in attendance, including my councillor colleagues, and hear all my councillor colleagues. I now turn to agenda item 4, which is apologies, and any apologies this evening? There being no apologies, I move to officers in attendance. I would now like to introduce council officers who are present in this virtual council meeting room. Mr. Evan King, Chief Executive Officer. Mr. Bradley Thomas, Director, Corporate and Community Services. Mr. Bruce Lucas, Director, Infrastructure and Development Services. Mr. Chris White, ICT Manager. Ms. Kristen Fort, Manager, Governance and Risk. Ms. Alison Blackett, Senior Planning Consultant. Item 5, Declaration of Conflicts of Interest. As required at any other meeting of council, councillors must declare a conflict of interest at the start of the meeting and leave the meeting when the item is presented to council. Councillors will be required to leave the meeting and return when the item has been resolved. At any point throughout the meeting, if any other councillor recognises that they have an indirect or direct interest, they can flag that at that point and follow the same procedures. Councillors, I now ask if any councillor has a conflict of interest to declare. If there are any conflicts of interest to declare, may I ask councillors to state which provision of the Act their conflict of interest satisfies and the item on the agenda they have a conflict of interest in. So I ask if any councillor has a conflict of interest. There being no response, there is no conflict of interest. Officers that are present, I now ask whether you have a conflict of interest on any items presented before council tonight. Mr. King, Chief Executive Officer.
No, Madam Mayor, I have no conflicts of interest to declare.
Mr. Bruce Lucas.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I do not have any conflicts of interest on any items being presented to council tonight.
Mr. Bradley Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do not have any conflicts of interest either.
Mr. Chris White.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I do not have any conflicts of interest on any items presented in the council tonight.
Ms. Kristen Fort.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do not have any conflicts of interest at any items present at council tonight.
Ms. Alison Blackett.
Madam Mayor, I do not have any conflicts of interest being presented tonight.
Thank you, staff and council officers. Councillors, I move to item 6, which is confirmation of previous meeting minutes. Councillors, I have a recommendation before us to adopt the meeting minutes from 17 March 2020. It is item 6.1.1, that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on 17 March 2020 as previously circulated to councillors be confirmed. I am now in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and seconder?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
And seconder? Moved Councillor Henderson, seconded Councillor Newitt. Any discussion on the minutes?
No, thank you.
Councillors, I put this motion to the vote. All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. I declare I must now declare I must state who voted in favour of the motion. So could you just please raise your hand just for a minute? Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Redwood and Cottrell all voted in favour. There being no votes against the motion, I therefore declare it carried. I now move to notices of motion. I have no note. There are no notices of motions have been received. Item 8, items of urgent business. Are there any items of urgent business? Nope, then being no items of urgent business. Presentation of councillors' reports. I will present my mayoral report. Tonight we are venturing into completely new territory. You will be seeing and hearing this meeting streamed live on our website. I have to start my report with some words about the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on our communities. In every town in the Shire, we have seen shops closing because they have been classified as non-essential. We don't know how many will reopen once restrictions come off. Our hospitality and tourism sector has taken a massive hit. Our economic development team have calculated that 79% of our employment is in this sector. And now this sector has gone, we hope, into hibernation. Many of our residents who have retained their employment are working from home, and many others are relying on JobKeeper or JobSeeker, and even worse, some people miss out completely. We need to continue pulling together as a community. I have seen some outstanding examples of people helping each other, people without any prompting, offering support to other community members in all manner of ways. I am inspired to hear that people, for the most part, understand that we will all move through this pandemic. I want to make 2 points. The learnings from our older neighbours is undeniably valuable, and we should take note. Our very senior folk have most likely endured the longer-term impact of the Great Depression of the 30s and a world war. What they can tell us about resilience, perspective, what is truly important, self-sufficiency, the importance of values, generosity of spirit, and believing that they would get through hardships some way are lessons that I hope we can start listening to and absorbing. The second point is that we cannot know with certainty what the future will look like. On the economic front, our leaders have learned that the levers that they believed should or could be pushed or pulled just won't work anymore, and many have had to change their whole approach. So we here at Council initially focused on continuing the business of Council, knowing that our communities rely on us, while at the same time come to grips with the seriousness of this emergency. In line with state and federal government restrictions, libraries, parks and swimming pools closed and will remain so until governments say otherwise. We have not retrenched any staff, but redeployed staff to work on other projects or programs. We have had to temporarily let go many of our volunteers, but have urged them to sign up with other agencies. Management activated our business continuity plan, our pandemic plan, and our emergency management plan. This particular plan having been activated during the bushfire danger period not too long ago. Management implemented a virtual relief centre to triage community requests for support, which are now steadily coming in. All indoor staff are working from home, including customer service. Our outdoor staff continue to work practicing social distancing. The community care staff are modifying services to meet community needs, and staff have been redeployed to work on Meals on Wheels and community care. Meetings involving staff, councillors and others have been conducted on Zoom. Our community and business relief package has been implemented, and you would all know that there will be no interest charged on outstanding rate balances for the 2019-20 financial year. We have also enacted the emergency clause of our current hardship policy, which enables residents to have additional time to pay for pet registrations. Importantly, Council is paying all its suppliers weekly. Council has refunded all permit fees for events that have been cancelled due to the pandemic. On the business front, we now have a dedicated COVID-19 business support section on our website and have provided access to a dedicated business support officer within council for our local businesses. We have agreed to assist commercial tenants occupying council buildings through to the end of September this year. We continue to budget for capital works as scheduled to maximise local business and employment opportunities. We have waived rent for community groups that are occupiers of council buildings and facilities up to the end of this financial year. And we will also provide all ratepayers with a 1-month extension on the due dates for the 4th rates instalment due on 26 June 2020. We are now starting to look to the future. As I said earlier, there is no playbook for us to consult. We are looking to what reconstruction and rebuilding programs will be made available through federal and state governments. I can say without being contradicted that we will take advantage of as many funding programs that we can afford to take on. We need to get our economy and our communities again. We must think differently. Council have applied for 30 positions through the Working for Victoria program and provided a list of $6 million of road infrastructure work that could be brought forward. The longer term impact of this pandemic on our communities has not started to be felt, but I believe the basis of revitalisation and renewal lies at the heart of our communities, not in some soapy, romantic or idiosyncratic way, but looking at the creative capacity that exists amongst us. Tonight, this meeting will be live streamed. This has been made possible because of an amendment to the Local Government Act 2020. We would all prefer face-to-face meetings, difficult as some may be. However, while social distancing restrictions remain in force, we will continue to meet virtually. The capacity to hold virtual meetings remains in force until the 1st of November this year, or unless this council decides otherwise. Our concern that we would not have a quorum, that we may be putting the health of our staff in jeopardy and also members of the public, has led to us to hold this meeting via a web-based platform. Just on finishing, I want to mention the passing of a former councillor, Councillor Bill Hickey, who was a councillor for Trentham Ward. He was a councillor between 1968 and 95, and he passed away last week. He was a councillor for the Shire of Kyneton when Trentham was a ward or a riding in that particular shire. He served 1 term of mayor. So thank you, and we will now proceed with the rest of the meeting. I have a formal condolence motion of item 9.1, the passing of Mr. Michael Cheshire, former mayor and councillor of Hepburn Shire. I have a recommendation before us that council acknowledge the passing of former mayor and councillor Mr. Michael Cheshire and sends its deepest condolences to his family. I am in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please?
I moved, Madam Mayor.
And seconder, Councillor Newitt. Is there any discussion on this condolence motion? No? Okay, I will now put this motion to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. I now must read out those councillors in favour of the motion. Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Redwood and Cottrell. I declare the motion carried. Thank you, councillors. I have a recommendation that council receives and notes the mayor's and councillors' reports. I have read my report, but I now move to councillor reports. Councillor May.
No, I have no report for this meeting, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Robson.
I will table my report, thank you.
Councillor Cottrell.
I have no report, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Newitt.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've tabled my report for tonight.
Councillor Redwood, AM.
Madam Mayor, I have tabled my report.
Councillor Henderson. Councillor Henderson. Unmute, please. Councillor Henderson,
No
would
report,
you?
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Henderson. I am now in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and seconder, please? Move Councillor May, seconded Councillor Redwood. All those in favour of the motion that Council receives and notes the Mayor's and Councillors' reports, all in favour? Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Redwood, Cottrell. There being no against, I declare the motion carried. Public question time, agenda item 10. We have no petitions. We have no 10.1 is petitions. We have received no petitions this evening. 10.2 questions. We have not received any questions this evening. So 10.3, I would like to now invite those in the virtual waiting room to address the meeting. Are there any? There are no people wishing to address council. I now move to agenda item 11, item 11.1, which is the heritage protection for the old Hepburn Hotel, 236 Main Road, Hepburn. Mr. Lucas, Director of Infrastructure and Development Services. And I think Ms. Alison Blackett will be presenting the report, yes?
That's correct, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I have the officer's recommendation, 11.1.1, that council applies to the Minister for Planning in accordance with section 9(3) of the Planning and Environment Act 1987 to obtain authorisation to prepare amendment C82 Hep B, which proposes permanent heritage controls in the Hepburn planning scheme for the old Hepburn Hotel at 236 Main Road, Hepburn. 11.1.2 authorises council officers to prepare the amendment C82 Hep B documents. 11.1.3 once authorisation is received, exhibit amendment C82 Hep B in accordance with sections 17 to 19 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, notifying all owners, occupiers and prescribed authorities. And there's one more, 11.1.4, immediately notify the owners and occupiers of the council resolution. I omitted to allow Ms. Blackett to speak on the report. Do apologise. Ms. Blackett? Sorry, I read the recommendation before you presented your report. I do apologise.
Apology accepted. If there's any other questions that I can answer for councillors prior to the recommendation being considered.
Are there any questions to Ms. Blackett? Councillor Redwood.
Madam Mayor, are there any members of the public wishing to speak to us on this matter, either the permit holder or other members of the public?
I'm not aware of any. There is no person in the waiting room wishing to speak. So are there any other questions from Ms. Blackett? Councillor Robson, unmute.
Thank you. Yes, I'm just interested in the process. I understand this is just one part of the process around the heritage assessment for this property. I was just wondering if you could just let us know a little bit about what happens around just checking the amount that's would be, about things like the structural security of the building and what part of it would be seen as heritage, that sort of thing.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the heritage significance of the building is identified in the statement of significance that's attached to the council officer report. The building dates back to the 1850s, and it is a very old building, and that's what prompted the further research to be undertaken. The process for identifying it is that the minister we wrote to the minister requesting interim protection until a full planning scheme amendment had been considered and provided by an independent panel. And it may be that the independent panel determines not to protect this building, but we do want to go through, it's recommended that we do want to go through this process in order to determine the cultural heritage significance of the place before any further consideration is given on demolition. So, Councillor Robson, I'm not sure if I fully answered your question.
Yeah, I think the thing about this is just one part of the process. It goes to a panel, and so it's really it's really up to the panel to decide whether heritage value, and then it goes on from there as to what aspects. So, thank you.
That's right.
Councillor Henderson, you have a question?
Yes, my question is more about, or partly about the building, as we know that buildings can be rebuilt, sections of them, but it's more about the cultural aspect of this building too. As I understand it, there's a great cultural connection to the community with this site as well as the building. Would that be correct, Ms. Blackett?
Yes, it is, Councillor Henderson. Through you, Madam Mayor. The Old Hepburn Hotel has got extraordinary historical significance given its associations with the Swiss and German Italian gold miners who were attracted to Daylesford in the 1850s and 1860s. From a local perspective, it's considered historic and rare. It's one of the longest operating hotels in the region and was first established as a licensed general store in 1854. So it goes back a long way into the history of the Shire. One of the interesting things about it is that it was destroyed by fire in 1909 and later rebuilt, but its original foundations and its original plan remain, and that's part of its cultural heritage significance as well. And one of the other criteria that makes it particularly high to what we call yield further information from an archaeological perspective, where if you were to excavate the site, you'd do so with a great deal of care because there may be archaeological evidence on the site dating back to the 1850s. So it does meet, of the 8 criteria that heritage consultants use to assess cultural heritage significance, it does meet quite a number of that criterion, and that is considered a clear, case to move ahead and consider it more seriously for local heritage protection in the Hepburn planning scheme.
Any other questions?
I guess so.
And okay, yes, Councillor Robson.
Thank you. I understand this property has been purchased recently, and they have put in an application for a planning permit to demolish this building. So can you just talk a little about the impact on the owner of the property?
Sure. So thank you, Councillor Robson. Through you, Madam Mayor. Look, in October last year, council officers met with the owner, the consultants representing the owner, and advised them that council officers didn't support the demolition of the old hotel. And we also advised the consultants that we were we had engaged our heritage advisor to undertake detailed research on its cultural heritage significance. So there was quite a lot of lead time, 3 to 4 months lead time between initially advising the consultants owners of council's intent, and then finally in February we wrote to the minister once it had been determined that there was quite a strong case to protect the building under the Hepburn planning scheme. So I don't believe that council officers have been overly zealous in moving forward too quickly in seeking to protect this building, and that we have given the owner a fair bit of time to consider alternative development proposals and also to work with council to come up with a mutually acceptable solution. And I just want to also reinforce to councillors that, that the outcome of the panel hearing may well be that the building doesn't have cultural heritage significance. This protection and this move to more fully examine cultural heritage significance of the place is intended to provide a check to ensure that we're not losing one of the Shire's most significant and oldest pubs. So we do want to provide a fair level of caution before a building survey issues a demolition permit. So I trust that answer.
Madam Mayor, Alison, with regards to the panel which you referenced that might make the ultimate decision as to the fate of the old Hepburn Hotel, who might make up or who might form that panel? Can you tell us that?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. The panel will be appointed. It will be appointed by the minister. It will be an independent panel, and normally independent panels have specialist consultants. It will probably be a one-person panel. It could be a two-person panel, depending on how many submitters come forward and the volume of submissions. But it'll be an appropriately qualified heritage person, possibly an architect or an historian, that will understand the evidence and be able to consider submissions and make a recommendation. So thank you, Councillor May. Does that answer provide you with enough information?
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions, please? No, there have been no further questions. I have already read the officer's recommendation, and I am now in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and seconder?
I move the officer's recommendation.
Seconded, Councillor Henderson. Any opposition to this?
Madam Mayor, can I please speak?
Yes, you can. Yes, please speak.
I want to note that in the information we have about the heritage study that's already been done, that the names of the people who developed this pub in the first place are among the highest standing citizens of the day in the 1850s, 60s, and are well known through other activities in the Shire. The building was not only important for its original gold rush time significance, but has continued through the eras to be of very special cultural significance to the local community, and is a place which continues to be much loved and a centre for gathering until the very recent past. I know that the fabric of the building leaves a certain amount to be desired, but let's hope that in considering its cultural and heritage significance, ways can be found to protect the fabric of the building in ways which will see it continue and to have that heritage protection into the future, which I think is very important.
Is there the seconder wish to speak, or would you?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I think it's very sad that we've come to the stage of somebody applying for a permit after having purchased a building that didn't have a heritage overlay. However, we need to be vigilant, and that's why we actually have applications for planning permits. so that we can examine thoroughly all aspects of what's before us. Just to give an example, we have a significant tree register, and people on private property have these trees, but occasionally we come across a tree that is not on the register, and council in the past have gone and looked at that tree and said, no, we really need to protect that. We have so much heritage, and we often talk about tourism in this shire, and it's not just about coffee and cake. It's often about, and tourism and overnight stays, it's about the heritage. People come to this area because of the heritage, and it's a very, very important aspect. And I think we as custodians of the planning scheme need to be very, very sure that we take into account unusual circumstances. I'm pretty sure that our officers will work through this with the applicant to ensure that they can develop this building in a very considerate way, and in fact it may often turn out, and it probably will in this case, that the heritage may well be something that enhances the value and the usability of this property. So I don't think it's all bad about saying we're stopping a developer from pulling something down. I think they may thank us in a few years, because that may be the draw card. So that's why I recommend the recommendation to my colleagues.
Are there any speakers against the motion? Are there been any further speakers wish to speak in favour of the motion? Otherwise, I will put the motion, the officer's recommendations. No, okay, I will now put the motion. All in favour of the officer's recommendation? Those voting for are councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Redwood, Cottrell. Therefore, there being no opposition, I therefore declare the motion carried. Thank you. Officers' reports. The Chief Executive Officer's report, Mr. King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's fair to say the last 2 months have been like no other 2 months in my working life. Obviously, council made a decision to cancel the April council meeting, wanting to obviously demonstrate the seriousness of COVID-19 and not wanting to bring councillors, officers and the community in together. And I commend council for making that courageous decision not to hold the April council meeting. The organisation has dealt with a whole range of challenges through COVID-19, and they probably pale into insignificance in terms of the challenges that both our community are feeling and our business community are feeling. And we're very aware of the challenges that COVID-19 has created for everybody. If you remember back to the initial stages of restrictions coming in, many of them were coming in on a Sunday night, and we worked many hours in those early phases to implement many of those changes to close services down and find alternate ways of providing services. We've worked incredibly hard to ensure that we've kept our staff employed as long as possible. We've redeployed staff into delivering Meals on Wheels. We've redeployed staff into doing shopping for our vulnerable people, picking up medication and a whole range of other activities. We know that the social distancing, the lack of connection with people is really hard. We know our libraries have always been a great source where people could come in and interact together and get that social companionship and be able to talk to people, and we know not having that is a big impact. You know, we're trying to provide library services online to ensure that everybody has some access to many of our services that are very important to them. Life has continued in a whole range of aspects in terms of, you know, a whole range of meetings that have been conducted over the last 2 months. Regular meetings with state government, regular meetings with regional stakeholders to really try and work out, one, how we support our community and our businesses through this. a pandemic is not like any other emergency that local government deals with. Most emergencies will have, a relief, a response, a recovery phase. A pandemic, we're doing all three phases of emergency at the one time, and that has presented a whole range of challenges for us. We've had to set up a virtual relief centre so that we could take requests from community and triage them to the most appropriate organisation that can support them. I'd just like to thank Council's support of the organisation in how we've managed the COVID-19 pandemic. I'd like to thank the community for their patience. We've seen amazing stories of how our community has rallied together and supported each other, and I commend them for that. Council is working incredibly hard to try and support those groups who are supporting the community. We know that many people have many different situations, and some people do fall through the cracks of systems and processes that might be set up by state government, and we're really trying to find solutions to the support that those people require. We are lobbying at a high level. The Mayor and I are meeting with ministers. We're meeting with a whole range of people to ensure that everyone understands the impact on Hepburn Shire Council. Over 79% of our employment in the council, in the Shire, is related to tourism, whether it be upstream or downstream. So we know that many people have lost jobs over this, and we're very keen to try and work with our businesses and our community to ensure recovery doesn't leave anyone behind, and that we learn from the pandemic as well, and that we don't just recover without thinking about what we've learnt, and make sure that we lobby for major infrastructure as part of the recovery. So, Madam Mayor, I present my report for the last 2 months as presented.
Are there any questions for the CEO? Okay, I have an officer's recommendation that Council receive the Chief Executive Officer's report for April and May 2020. I am now in search of a mover and seconder for the motion. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Mover, Councillor Robson, seconded Councillor Henderson. I think you had your hand up first. All those in favour of the recommendation?
Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
I wish to speak.
Okay, you can speak. You may speak. Yes.
Yes, I think we usually don't bother to speak to this. We just listen in awe of what our CEO is able to achieve. But on this occasion, I think, knowing Mr. King and knowing the hours he works and the emails that come out, it's been a tremendous effort by himself. He hasn't just been taking things as usual, and he's had to sacrifice a lot of his time and that of his family. And I think that the circles I move in, I haven't heard a bad word about the conduct outside of the council. And there's plenty to say in local government, as people are only too quick to remind us of what we do and don't do, mostly what we don't do. But I've not heard any criticism from any sector of the work that our CEO and the team that he leads. So I just want to commend our CEO on the report and thank him for the work he's been able to achieve.
I think everybody would concur with those sentiments, Councillor Henderson. Are there any other contributions from other councillors before I formally put the motion? Okay, all those in favour? Hands up, please. Council in favour, Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Redwood, Cottrell. There being no against, I declare the motion carried. The Chief Executive Officer Quarterly Report, Q3, April to April 2020 Performance Review.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, the purpose of this report is for Council to receive the third quarter performance appraisal for myself. As councillors would be aware, we've set up a three-pronged appraisal process that consists of 3 quarterly performance appraisals and then a year-end appraisal that compares my performance against a set of key performance indicators that are developed at the start of the year. The quarterly performance appraisals have a range of KPIs and some focus areas for myself and the organisation to focus on. And the items for the third quarter performance appraisal were the 2020-21 budget development, community planning, organisational realignment and culture, planning scheme review, economic development, and annual plan. The report goes into detail around the progress made on all of those items. I won't go into detail other than to say a formal performance review was conducted on the 7th of April with councillors, with very detailed discussion around the performance against those criteria and open, honest conversation around how we are performing. So, Madam Mayor, the officer's recommendation is as stated on page 32.
The officer's recommendation is that council receives the 2019-20 Q3 performance appraisal of the Chief Executive Officer. Do I have any discussion from fellow councillors or questions to the CEO? No, none, all silent. Okay, do I have a mover and seconder, please? I'm asking for a mover and seconder. Councillor May moved, Councillor Newitt seconded. Any further discussion on this particular motion? I'll therefore put the motion. All in favour of the officer's recommendation? It is in favour, councillors May, Kokocinski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Redwood, Cottrell. There being no against, I declare it carried. Item 12.3, customer request update, April 2020. Director of Community and Corporate Services, Mr. Bradley Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide council an update on customer requests received and responded to for the period ended 30th of April 2020. It's the standard report presented to councils on a monthly basis. You will note that a number are given the impacts of COVID-19, so some slight changes and impacts during the month, but be assured that council officers are responding to community requests, and there is a council officer's recommendation on page 36 of the agenda, Madam Mayor.
Okay, the officer's recommendation is that council receives notes and update on customer request for April 2020. Do I have any discussion or questions from councillors? Okay, there being no questions, I'm now in search of a mover and seconder to the motion, please. Do I have a mover? Councillor Redwood, seconded Councillor Newitt. Any further discussion on the motion? No opposition. I will therefore put the motion. All in favour, please raise your hand. Councillors in favour. Councillors May, Kokocinski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Redwood, Cottrell. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. Item 12.4, which is Development and Community Safety Report, to the Director, Infrastructure and Development Services, Mr. Thomas. Mr. Lucas, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to update council on the activities of the building, environmental health, community safety and planning units of council. Once again, councillors, it's a standard report that comes up each month and provides an update on the activity for the previous month. I won't go into detail and I'll take the report as read, but in doing so, just to highlight and echo the words of a number of colleagues and councillors earlier, to call out the environmental health team who have played a lead role, I guess, in council's response and relief arrangements through the pandemic. And you'll see that has had an impact on the routine or business as usual activities, which are listed as 0 in the report.
Questions? Councillor Redwood. Councillor Redwood, unmute, please.
Apologies. Madam Mayor, through you, can I ask Mr Lucas for some further information about the dog attacks? Where did they occur?
So through you, Madam Mayor, I don't have that detail with me this evening. I know that the two dog attacks that are listed in the agenda report are still under investigation, and I'm not sure of the status of those investigations.
Right, or the location?
Or the location.
Do you have any further questions, Councillor Redwood?
No.
No. Any other councillors wish to ask questions or comment on the report? No, there being no further questions. I have the officer's recommendation that council receives and notes the report for information, and I'm in search of a mover and seconder. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Newitt, seconded. Councillor Henderson. Any further discussion? Okay, there being no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please raise your hands. In favour, councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Redwood and Cottrell. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. I now move to item 12.5, which is the draft annual budget 2020 to 2021. I now ask Mr Bradley Thomas, Director of Community and Corporate Services, to present the report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider the draft annual budget for 2021 for public advertising. Under the Local Government Act, Council must prepare a budget each year, and usually this is required to be done by the 30th of June. Given the COVID situation, the Minister of Local Government extended that to the 31st of August, and given that we didn't have an April Council meeting where this item usually would have come, it's come to the May meeting. If Council do adopt the budget tonight for public advertising, we will be able to meet all our legislative deadlines. It's fair to say that this budget has been prepared as a business as usual basis without taking into account any major adjustments for the impact of the current global COVID-19 pandemic. The coming months will really tell us the full extent of the impact on both the communities, but also Council's finances. And Council will be able to undertake a mid-year review and reforecast its financials if it's needed to. Council's already announced and implemented a number of financial items to really respond to the community's demands. And a number of these have already been outlined, but including really allowing all ratepayers from all property classifications the ability to apply for hardship where the items of rates can be considered for deferment. Councillors, you'll remember that this budget has been put together after a number of meetings and the budget will fund the final year of our 2017-21 Council plan. The budget document, which is being tabled and will be available on Council's website tomorrow morning should Council approve the document, outlines the operations, services and capital investment. $35 million in revenue, an operating surplus of $1.7 million and capital works of $12.1 million. Rate increases are proposed at the 2%, being the Victorian Government's rate cap under their new Fair Go rate system. Council is committed in delivering a number of high quality services, and you'll see that this budget proposes investment in a number of these items, including over $270,000 of new strategic planning activities, including stage 3 of the Hepburn Planning Scheme review, allocation of funding for a Shire-wide aquatic strategy, and funding that's required in the next financial year to undertake council elections and the development of new council plan. As noted before, this budget will deliver over $12 million of capital works, improving, renewing and creating new infrastructure across the Shire. This is a significant allocation of funding. In fact, it's 67% of our general rates. And these capital works include road improvements, finalisation of the Hepburn Hub, investments in our community buildings, several early childhood facilities, a number of recreation facilities, including detailed design for the Trentham and Glenlyon Rec Reserve community pavilions, and various small and large projects across the Shire. The budget would now be, after tonight's meeting, would be placed on public advertising, and encourage the community to review the budget and submit any questions or submissions that they would have to the budget. A special council meeting will be held on the 7th of July where those items can be heard. Councillors will then consider the public submissions, and at the July council meeting, officers will put a report together for council to adopt the budget for 2021. There's a number of officers' recommendations on page 52 of the budget, and I'm happy of the agenda tonight, and happy to take any questions, councillors.
Any questions to Mr. Thomas? Councillor Redwood.
Madam Mayor, through you to Mr. Thomas, given that the budget will go through a month late, so starting presumably in August rather than July, what are the implications for, I guess, expenditure in the budget overall, given that it'll be a month short, as it were?
Yep. So the intention would be that their budget will come to the July council meeting. Council can operate without a budget in place, but however, for the normal ongoing operations, so salary and wages of staff, continuation of waste services, road maintenance, and minor capital works will continue in that month of July. Council officers wouldn't be able to enter into a large and significant contract until the annual budget is in place and been adopted by council. But really, there should be no operational concerns during that short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? No other questions to Mr. Thomas? Okay, I have an officer's recommendation which I must read, and it is that Council 12.5.1 note the package of financial relief options for residents and businesses to support the Hepburn Shire community in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, as outlined in the report. Notes compliance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 1989 and Local Government Planning and Reporting Regulations 2014 regarding the preparation and content of the budget for the 2020-2021 financial year. 12.5.3. In accordance with Section 127 of the Local Government Act 1989, place the draft 2020 to 2021 annual budget on public exhibition. 12.5.4. Authorise the Chief Executive Officer to give public notice of this in accordance with Section 192 and 223 of the Local Government Act 1989. 12.5.5. Consider any submissions in relation to the draft 2020 to 2021 annual budget made in accordance with sections 129 and 223 of the Local Government Act at a council meeting to be held Tuesday, 7 July 2020. 12.5.6. Consider the 2020 to 2021 annual budget at the council meeting to be held on Tuesday, 21 July 2020. 12.5.7. Endorse the draft schedule of fees as contained in the draft 2020 to 2021 annual budget to commence from 1st of July 2020. I am now in search of a mover and seconder of a recommendation. Do I have a mover, please? Do I have a mover to the motion, to the opposite recommendation? Councillor Newitt. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Cottrell. Any debate or any discussion on the proposed budget? Any opposition? Councillor Newitt.
Madam Mayor, just briefly, I'm confident that, as Mr. Thomas has pointed out, that we need to move forward, that we need to keep looking at a business as usual package. We'll have the options to tweak this as we go ahead. I just encourage people to look at the budget and to prevail of those opportunities to interact and pass comment before it comes to us again for a council consideration. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any other speakers or questions to the motion? Nope. I will therefore put the motion as per the as per the officer's recommendations. All in favour, please raise your hand. I will read that out. That is councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell, and we have lost.
Madam Mayor, we seem to have lost
Councillor Redwood.
She's just coming back into the meeting now.
Okay, we'll just hold.
We could just hang off on that vote.
We'll just hang off on that vote. We'll wait for Councillor Redwood to return to the meeting.
Just admitting her now, Madam Mayor.
Okay. We'll wait. Okay, thank you, Councillor Redwood.
Apologies, it just dropped out.
Yeah, as happens. We will now put the motion. All in favour of the officer's recommendation, please raise your hand. Councillors, all in favour. Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. So there being no against, I declare it carried. The financial report as at 31st of March 2020, I now pass to the Director of Community and Corporate Services, Mr. Bradley Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors. Moving from looking forward in the budget 2021 to looking at our financial report for the current year. Purpose of this report is to provide a summary of council's financial performance and position for the 2019-20 financial year up to the 31st of March 2020. As required under the Local Government Act and in good corporate governance, quarterly financial reports are provided to councillors. These have been discussed at a briefing session. They're in the same format as previously, provides a snapshot of the actual performance against budget from an income statement, balance sheet and capital works. It's fair to note that there's been some minor impacts due to the COVID-19 situations, and I suppose we expect these to be demonstrated more fully in the coming months. The standard documentation is included with notes for the financials, and on page 61 of your agenda is a officer's recommendation.
Any further questions or discussion on the financial report? No questions to Mr. Thomas? Okay, I have an officer's recommendation, 12.6.1, that Council receives and notes the financial report for the 9 months from 1 July 2019 to 31 March 2020. Can I please have a mover and seconder, please? Move Councillor Redwood, seconded Councillor Newitt. Any further discussion on this report, on the motion?
No, I believe not, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I now move it. All in favour of the officer's recommendation, please raise your hands. In favour is Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. I now move to item 12.7, which is the annual plan, which is the annual plan 2019 to 2020 Q3 progress report. Mr. Bradley Thomas again.
Thank you. And the purpose of this report is for Council to note the annual plan 2019-20, the Q3 progress report, and consider any changes for the Council plan 2017-21. The annual plan was a new initiative of Council this year and provides a listing of projects and initiatives that will be undertaken throughout the organisation. And quarterly, officers provide a progress comment so that councillors and the community can be aware of the progress to date. And it's important to note that it does not include all projects, and in particularly as it was adopted in July 2019, it doesn't pick up new projects and initiatives during the year. We have included for quarter 3 as a slight difference to the quarter 1 and 2 reports, a colour-coded sort of key to be able to note the progress to date. And councillors will see a number of actions have already been completed and a number of items that officers are working diligently over the coming months to undertake, and a few projects that are unlikely to be completed by 30th of June, partly due to government funding and when that sort of information comes available, but items can be carried forward and completed in the new year. Also worth noting that it's important that, and under the Act, Council needs to consider on an annual basis whether a change needs to occur to the Council plan. Given this is that we were going into the last year of the Council plan and that we now have an annual plan process in place where we can pick up those new initiatives and projects, Council officers are recommending that no changes are made and that a Council plan development will occur after Council elections and include significant community consultation. The report is included as an attachment and is an officer's recommendation there on page 64 of the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Do I have any questions or comments from councillors, please? Councillor Redwood and then Councillor Henderson.
Madam Mayor, I may be out of order here, but given that we're in the middle of the 4th quarter, I'm wondering, Mr. Thomas, if I can ask you, at the end of the 3rd quarter, we were about to renegotiate the contract for curbside collection of waste and recycling. And that was right at the end of the quarter. Can I ask you whether that contract has in fact been renegotiated?
I might ask Director of Infrastructure, Mr. Bruce Lucas, to comment on the update of the current contract status.
Thank you.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Mayor, the short answer to the question is yes, it has. We have continued the current services with wheelie waste with some stronger conditions and set of agreements on service quality delivery.
Thank you.
Councillor Henderson, did you have a question? Did I see your hand up? Yes, go on, go ahead. Unmute, please.
Yes, my question's regarding one of the items there is the Creswick Trails. I noticed that you're very much a big red block. Just what do we expect to have for that, Mr. Thomas?
Mr. Lucas, that's I might turn to yourself for an update on the Creswick Trails project. It is important to note that some of these projects are ongoing over multiple years, and the colour-coded and whether the item will complete will relate to the particular description. It was envisioned by the end of June that we'd undertake a tender process, Mr. Lucas.
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor, just to add to that, it is correct. It's read in that it is unlikely or won't be finished before June 30. We have yet to get to a point of making application for a planning permit. That is imminent, and that will be required before we then go to tender for construction.
So just a further clarification. I know we say these projects are ongoing, but the general community feels that it's not going at all. And surely, perhaps it might be an opportunity to suggest to local politics, to the politicians of the day, that this is a government-funded project, and with COVID-19, we're very much looking for projects to create employment. This is one of those, and it requires no extra funding. It's already got the funding in place, so it could be a good time to get stuck into the powers that be to see that they. And it's up to us to get the planning permit in place, but to make sure that that has a smooth passage so that we can consider it when it does come up. And we do have to consider it as a planning issue, but we seem to be a long time getting to that point.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I accept the comments of Councillor Henderson, and they're absolutely right. And we had hoped to have progressed the project beyond where it is currently. I have to say that it has been an extraordinary complex project with multiple stakeholders, which has proven to be very difficult to get some agreement across the board on a range of fronts in order to then be able to go forward with that planning permit application. We are in regular conversations or discussions with state government agencies, and they are aware of the situation and the work that we're doing. We have dedicated resources on this project alone, and we are trying to work through all of those issues as quickly as we possibly can. We have had to renegotiate the milestone dates as part of the funding agreement, and we've done that in complete cooperation and understanding of those funding agencies, but it remains a challenge for us, which we are continuing to work on.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from other councillors, please? No, there's silence. So I have an officer's recommendation, 12.7.1, that council note the annual plan 2019 to 20 Q3 progress report and make it available on council's website. And 12.7.2, note that the council plan 2017 to 20 does not require any adjustment in respect of the remaining period of the council plan. Can I please have a mover and seconder to that motion? Councillor moved, Councillor Henderson seconded, Councillor Robson. Do you wish to speak in favour of the motion?
No, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Robson.
Yes, I'd like to say I'd really like to acknowledge the council officers for their work on this bit of work. I think it really does help provide that transparency as to where we're up to with our projects. And I think that you're continually improving the way we communicate, and that it will be available on our website is a huge step forward. So I just want to congratulate the team. So thank you.
Any other discussion or comments? Okay, I have a mover and seconder now, so I will now, any opposition to this motion? I will now move the motion. All in favour of the motion, please raise your hand so I can see clearly. In favour is councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Just a minute. Item 12.8, Coronavirus COVID-D Community Support Grants Program, Director Community and Corporate Services. I turn over to you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Purpose of this report is for Council to consider the awarding of COVID-19 community support grants received for April and May 2020 and note a number of quick response grants that have been issued. Very proud to be able to bring this report to Council. Councillors have moved very quickly, both councillors and officers, to put in place a community support program that's been available to our community to apply for grant funding to support and sustain the community during and following this COVID-19 pandemic. There's been a strong interest in this grant program, and that strong interest continues. It will be our expectation that a report will also come to the June Council meeting for further awarding of grants. Table 1 of the agenda today provides a number of quick response grants where applications have been received and officers under delegation have been able to award these fundings to these community groups who have been able to then invest into the community and support our community during this trying time. Table 2 includes 3 grants. As I said, we will receive more into the June meeting. The meeting agenda closed very early for the number of submissions to be received, so we were very pleased to receive a number so far. 3 items there that has been subject to review by our council officers and an independent panel, and we're recommending on page 77 of the agenda that council awards funding to those community groups to continue the fantastic work with our community in this response.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Do I have any comment or questions from councillors, please? Councillor Robson.
Thank you. Interesting, one of the applications have been required, we've given a quick response grant. Can you tell me much about the Adka Arts Proprietary Limited that are doing the online show for families about resilience?
Yes, sorry, Council, I don't have that information in front of me for tonight, but more than happy to take that on notice and provide that to yourself.
That'd be great, thank you.
Other comment or questions, please, from other councillors? No, all quiet. I have an officer's recommendation, 12.8.1, that council awards funding from the COVID-19 Community Support Grants Program as follows. $2,500 to Clunes Neighbourhood House, $2,500 to the Trentham Neighbourhood House, and $2,500 to the Good Grub Club. Do I have a move? Can I have a mover and seconder for the officer's recommendation, please? Moved Councillor Robson, seconded Councillor Redwood. Any further discussion on the motion? No, I will now. Yes, Councillor Robson.
I would like to say again, this is a really great initiative from our council. I like that the officers brought this up to us and it's been adopted so well and really well received by our community. Because I think it's a really good way of showing that we are really wanting to support our community to look after themselves and look after each other. So I just want to say thank you for the team.
Thank you. Councillor Redwood.
Just on a very specific issue in relation to these grants, which I think are very, very worthwhile and appropriate. I happened to be at the Good Grub Club when they received the $1,000 and they were really so relieved because they were providing 300 plus meals and they just didn't know where the money was going to come from to continue to meet that demand. So it is really good to see council officers moving so adroitly to process these grants and get them through where they're very, very much needed.
Yeah, thank you. 300 meals to be done, to be cooked is, and for people who need them, it's very sobering to all of us. Now, any further discussion? Mover and seconder. Sorry, can I have the mover and seconder again? It was moved Councillor Robson and seconded Councillor Redwood. There being no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All in favour of the officer's recommendation, please raise your hands. In favour is Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. I now move to 12.9, proposed special charge scheme for Solar Savers program. I would now turn to the Director of Infrastructure and Development Services, Mr. Lucas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to review, confirm and declare a special charge scheme for the Solar Savers program. Councillors will be aware that the Solar Savers program is where pensioners and low-income householders can have solar voltaic systems installed on their properties at no upfront cost, and that the cost is then covered by Council and recovered through special rates on the property, typically paid for by property owners through the savings yielded through the installation of that system. Council considered the declaration of a special charge scheme and gave notice of its intention to declare that scheme at the March 2020 Council meeting. Through advertising and Council declaring its intention to do so, Council has received no objections to that intention, and the special charge scheme can now be legally declared, and if so declared tonight, the installation of those photovoltaic systems can commence on the 21 households that have registered as part of that scheme. Councillors, there is a recommendation on page 80 of your agenda papers tonight that seeks Council to resolve to declare a special charge for the Solar Saver scheme, allowing the charges to be applied and that the solar PV installations to commence.
Any questions or any questions to Mr. Lucas? No, all understood. All understood. Okay, I now seek a mover and seconder to the officer's recommendation, which has been read. Move Councillor May, Councillor Newitt seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Do the movers and seconders wish to speak?
Just briefly, Madam Mayor. Simply to say that I think this is a great initiative from Council, allowing people who may not normally have the resources to install these systems to be able to benefit from them, and I just think it's a great idea, and well done to the officers and Dominic Murphy. I think especially for his work on this, it's wonderful. I think.
Councillor Newitt, do you wish to say something? Any other, Councillor Henderson?
Yes, I concur with what Councillor May has said, and often we look at what we can do for business and what we can do for other people, and it's often said, what can we do for those people in our community who struggle? And I know that even during this COVID thing, that people often used to go out to get to the various places like senior sits, so on, to have a warm place, or to the library. Well, they couldn't afford to turn on their power. They couldn't afford to run their air conditioners in the summer. And this really affords those people who are very vulnerable in our community the opportunity to do something. And it also gives us the opportunity to take the lead and do something for those people in our community. I think that as Councillor May said, should be really commended. That's the work of a really caring council, in my view.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Any other comments or contributions from other councillors? Okay, look, I will put the officer's recommendation that council resolves to declare a special charge for the Solar Saver scheme, allowing the charges to be applied and solar PV installations to commence. We have a mover and seconder. So all in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. In favour, councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Now move to item 12.10, Towards Zero Community Grants. Director of Infrastructure and Development Services, Mr. Lucas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this is another good news story and another grants program. The purpose of the report is for council to consider the allocation of funding to a number of community projects under the Towards Zero Community Grants program. The Towards Zero Community Grants is made available for community groups to assist with implementing emission reduction projects. On this occasion, we have invited submissions and we have received 2 applications, and officers have worked with those applicants on assessing those applications. The 2 applications referenced one from the Hepburn Recreation Reserve and the second one being from the Dalesford Community Childcare Centre. Councillors, both of those applications are recommended to council for approval in the report this evening. It is important to note that usually we would anticipate a greater number of applications being received. And on this occasion, we only have the 2, and it's the officer's intention to open up for further invitations or further submissions to be made to council, given that there are still some funding available through that program. There is an officer's recommendation on page 84 of your agenda papers tonight.
Councillor Redwood, do you have a question or a comment?
No, I don't have a question. I just want to move the motion.
Okay, do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Robson has seconded. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Redwood?
Yes, I just want to say that I really appreciate the fact that these 2 applications are going through recommended tonight, rather than being held back in relation to other applications that might be brought forward. I think they're both 2 very worthwhile organisations which will benefit greatly from the allocation of these funds and the introduction of better technology.
Councillor Robson, do you wish to say anything? No? Any other comments from other councillors? Okay, can I have a mover and seconder, please, of the council resolution as read by Mr. Lucas?
Oh, well, I'm already...
it's already been moved and seconded. I will now put the motion. All in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. In favour, councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. 12.11, the Hepburn Hub at the Rex Project Update Report, May 2020. Director of Infrastructure and Development Services, Mr. Lucas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you've stated, the purpose of the report is to provide councillors with a project update, as per our commitment to do so on a monthly basis. Councillors, there's a detailed report in the agenda. I don't intend to go through it in great detail. I can say in summary that the total project scope, the total project budget and the program as endorsed by Council at the February Council meeting all remain unchanged, and we are on track to deliver the project in accordance with those parameters agreed to and endorsed by Council at that February Council meeting. I will just touch on two parts, and that is first stage works, which is basically responding to a building notice that has been received on the initial works that were undertaken. There's some works occurring now to bring those works up to compliance and address the building notice that has been received. And also a consultant team engaged now to progress the stage 2 works, which is the main body of works, to document what is required, re-engaging with stakeholders to ensure that the brief and the scope meets the needs of those stakeholders, and then release that work out for public tender, which is intended to occur early July, with a recommendation coming to the August Council meeting for Council to consider the awarding of that contract. There is an officer's recommendation, Madam Mayor, on page 92 of the papers, and that is that Council note the report and the variance to the program, which was, probably I should have touched on that. There was a small delay which has already been incurred, and we've adjusted the program to make up that lost time. So the program end date remains unchanged.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Do I have any questions to Mr. Lucas on this report? Councillor Henderson? Please unmute.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to Mr. Lucas. Mr. Lucas, before we proceed anywhere with this project, will we be ensuring that all of the engineering computations and drawings will be signed off and will be completed and signed off? And will all of those documents be done taking into account the Australian standards and any other relevant standards that are there, so there'd be no variance from those building standards or building practices and Australian standards?
That is absolutely our intention.
Okay. Any follow-up questions, Councillor Henderson?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I accept the answer, but I know we did have an intention when we started the REX before. We intended to do it for 900 and something thousand too. The intent's good, but I need a definitive answer that we will be working to the engineering drawings and have them signed off and done, so that there's no misunderstandings come August when contracts get completed, that these contracts will be in place and will have those standards in, because I'm just foreshadowing what I might say if they're not, and I don't want any more hold-ups on this project, Mr. Lucas. That's it.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. And just to respond to that, and maybe I should have elaborated a little bit further, Councillor Henderson, but to say that that is absolutely our intention, is to do so. And in order to give you some level of comfort, all of those works and the designs and the concepts and the like that are coming from our consultancy team are all being reported back through our project control group, which is effectively the executive team of Council, for sign off prior to then being released for public tender.
Thank you. Councillor May, did I see your hand up? Yep. Would you like to ask your question?
Yes, Madam Mayor, to Mr. Lucas. The variance which is mentioned in the officer's recommendation, which you briefly touched on, can you just elaborate on that a little more? I have to admit that I'm not sort of crystal clear on what that's referring to.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. In simple terms, we had some delay with procurement for the current consultancy team on board, and that it primarily relates to the architects. So I guess when the program was originally prepared, we anticipated that we would probably work with the architects that had done the initial work, being Clark Hobson's Clark, through analysing the procurement arrangements, the requirements of our policy and the requirements of the Local Government Act, and in accordance with some legal advice on what was technically correct, we took a decision to go back to the market, which took a number of extra weeks to go through that procurement exercise to appoint the architects to do the main body of work. The architects have compiled, so that's where the delay was initially. The architects have are working to a very tight program in order to get out to tender in July. But we believe also that there is some time that we can make up in the construction phase and make up some time in the delivery with the architect's work. So the weeks that we lost early on through the procurement, we can make up through the rest of the program.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions to Mr. Lucas? Councillor Robson.
I noticed there's been commented that the stakeholder groups have been spoken with to talk about the plans. Just wondering, Daylesford Cinema's been mentioned, but I was just wondering who are the other stakeholder groups that we've been spoken to?
So the other stakeholder groups are effectively internal service providers. So our customer service teams, our library staff, to make sure that the services and the concept, the layout of each of those facilities will provide what those services need in order to deliver what they need to deliver for community.
So there's no other community groups that we see as being stakeholders in this project?
At the moment, it's the community cinema group and a number of internal service providers.
Do I have any other questions from other councillors? No more questions. I have an officer's recommendation, and could I please have a mover and seconder for that officer's recommendation? Move Councillor Redwood, seconder Councillor May. Councillor Redwood, would you like to say something?
Madam Mayor, I think it is really very reassuring that we're getting these monthly reports and that we're getting detailed reports. So I thank you, Mr. Lucas, very much in this respect. I think this does help us to build confidence as we move forward, and to have a timeline that says that contracts will come to council in August is something that is very pleasing, and I hope that that will happen. I think that there's still a wonderful vision there of this project, but it has been a very hard road to travel along the way. And so I know that this is something that the officers carry as much as us councillors. And I think that, well, I think we all imagine in our hearts that one day we're going to be coming along to the launch of this project, and what a party that's going to be.
Councillor May, would you like to support the motion, speak to the motion?
No, I don't wish to speak, Madam Mayor.
Okay, do other councillors wish to speak for or against the motion? Okay, I will now put the officer's recommendation as moved by Councillor Redwood and seconded by Councillor May. All in favour of the officer's recommendation, please raise your hand. So in support, Councillors May, Kokocinski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Item 12.12, calling of a special meeting of council policy. And I now turn to Director of Community and Corporate Services, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Purpose of this report is to present to Council a policy outlining the process to call a special meeting of Council while governance rules are developed in line with the Local Government Act 2020 implementation. We have a new Local Government Act, being the Local Government Act 2020, which is the most significant legislative change since the adoption of the previous Act, 1989. However, over the next couple of years, we have a really interesting period where some of the activities of council are conducted under the 89 legislation, and some of the activities are conducted under the 2020 legislation. And we'll continue to make that clear to councillors throughout the process. And over the next 12 months, governance and across the organisation in the middle of an implementation plan. A number of the provisions in the 2020 Act are now in place. And one of those provisions is that by the 1st of September, Council must adopt new governance rules. We're in the process of drafting these, working across the sector to get best practice governance rules to bring back. One of the things that sort of slips out during this time is the inability to call a special meeting until we have those governance rules in place. We think it's best practice that during this period of time, we still have the ability to call, if needed, a special meeting. as you can imagine, particularly given COVID, but other events, it is important from time to time the ability to be able to call a special meeting. Officers have developed the policy, which is attached to the agenda, and really worked through the current arrangements of calling a special meeting. So this policy, if approved by council, would be in place until those new governance rules are not adopted by council. On page 95 of the agenda is the officer's recommendation that council adopts the calling of a special meeting of council policy.
Do I have do any councillors wish to ask Mr. Thomas any question or make comment on this report? No, I have the officer's recommendation as read, and I would like a mover and seconder, please, for this recommendation. Move Councillor Robson and seconded Councillor Henderson. Do you, Councillor Robson, wish to speak in favour of the motion? Councillor Henderson? No. Any opposition to this? Okay, then I will put the motion. All in favour, please raise your hand so that I can see it. Okay, in favour, Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. I now move to variations to construction contracts. Director of Infrastructure and Development Services, Mr. Lucas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek council approval for a variation and expansion to the scope of works for a contract previously awarded by council, being for the reconstruction of the Back Glen Lyon Road, Camorra, and also to amend the award sum for the contract that council awarded at the February council meeting due to a clerical error in that report. Councillors, this relates to funding that has been received through the Fixing Country Roads program, where council received $1.5 million worth of funding, and council contributed $750,000 of its own funds towards the 5 allocated projects. Through the awarding of those contracts and the rates yielded in those tender processes and some positive variations in the delivery of those projects, we've identified that we expect to save around $286,000 at completion of those projects. And we are now looking at bringing forward other works in the 5-year capital works program in order to take advantage of that grant funding program. We propose this following some discussions with Regional Roads Victoria, formerly Vic Roads, and it is their preference for us to bring forward that expenditure and acquit the grant program rather than returning the funds to the state. So on that basis, councillors, there is a request within the body of the report to increase the scope of works for that particular contract to include some intersection works, also on the Back Glen Lyon Road to upgrade the intersection with Woolnose Road, which has been the subject of many community complaints and safety concerns raised at that intersection. And these works, to the value of around $61,000, can be achieved through the Fixing Country Roads program and covered under that grant fund, and deliver on a number of the concerns raised over a period of time by community. Councillors, the clerical error that I made reference to was the awarding of this particular contract at the February council meeting, whereby the contract sum in the council motion made reference to the sum of $478,801.60 inclusive of GST, when it should have been exclusive of GST. A simple clerical error. The confidential attachment and tender evaluation documents were all correctly stated, but in the main report, that was an error, and we're seeking council approval to vary that award sum accordingly, which was to the value of around $43,527. An officer's recommendation on page 103 to pick up both of those elements, as I've mentioned.
I have a question before I open it up to others. What you're saying is that we don't have to return that unspent monies. Is that clear?
That is our intention, and that is certainly the preference of the funding body, Regional Roads Victoria. They have a strong preference that we fully spend and acquit those funds before June 30. We don't believe that we're in a position to do that. We're considering how we might acquit those funds on a couple of projects. One we can do under a variation as presented tonight. There is another project in Clunes that is being considered, but the variation quantum is far too significant in size, and therefore it's a project that we believe will need to go through a separate procurement process, but we are looking to undertake that to further acquit that grant funding.
Okay. Do other councillors wish to ask Mr. Lucas any questions on this particular item? No questions. Then we have Mr. Lucas has read the officer's recommendation. Could I please have a mover and seconder for the recommendation, please? Mover, Councillor Newitt, seconder, Councillor Robson. Do you wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Robson. Okay, do any other councillors wish to speak for or against the motion? No? Okay, well, I will put the officer's recommendation. All in favour, please raise your hand. In favour, Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I therefore declare it carried. Motoring right along. Item 12.14, postponement of 21 April, ordinary council meeting. Director of Community and Corporate Services, Mr. Bradley Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Purpose of this report is to formally notify Council as to the reason the 21st of April 2020 Ordinary Council meeting was postponed. This is a requirement under our local law number 1 meeting procedures to notify Council of why the cancellation and postponement. Obviously, given the COVID situation, wasn't appropriate for Council. Council decided not appropriate to meet, and now the new legislation allows us to meet in this virtual world, which is going rather well. On page 106 of your agenda is the officer's recommendation that Council notes the report outlining why the ordinary Council meeting scheduled for the 21st April 2020 was postponed. I note that all relevant matters that were to be considered at that meeting have been moved to the 19th of May 2020 Ordinary Council meeting. Thank you.
Any councillors wish to ask any questions or make comment on the report? All silence. So can I please have Councillor Redwood?
I'm just moving the officer's recommendation.
And can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Henderson. Would Councillor Redwood or Henderson, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
No. Okay. Any opposition to the motion? No. I will therefore put the motion. All in favour of the motion, please raise your hands so that I can see it. In favour, Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. Thank you. Director, item 12.15, record of assemblies of councillors. Mr. Thomas, Director of Community and Corporate Services, over to you.
Thank you. Administrative report. Purpose of the report to Council to receive and note the assembly of councillors with an officer's recommendation on page 108 that Council received and notes the record of assemblies of councillors.
Any questions for Mr. Thomas, please? Any comment? No. I have an officer's recommendation. Can I please have a mover, Councillor May, seconder, Councillor Henderson? Would you like to speak to the motion? Councillor May or Henderson? No. Okay, I will therefore put the officer's recommendation that Council receives and notes records of assemblies of councillors. All in favour, please raise your hand. In favour, Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. Item 13, Council Special Committees, Section 86 Committees. Item 13.1, Minutes of Special Committees, Section 86. Director of Community and Corporate Services, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Also, administrative report for Council to note the minutes and recommendations from Council Special Committees, known as Section 86. Officer's recommendation on page 137 that Council receives and notes the minutes of the special committees, section 86, which have been distributed under separate cover, and the 4 committees are noted as that part of that officer's recommendation.
Okay, any comment or question for Mr. Thomas, please? None at all. Okay, I have the officer's recommendation. Could I please have a mover, Councillor Henderson, seconder, please? Councillor May, would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Henderson?
Thank you.
Councillor May? Okay, I will therefore put the officer's recommendation. Please raise your hand, all in favour. In favour, Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I therefore declare it carried. Item 14.1, recommendations from Audit and Risk Advisory Committee to Council. Mr. Thomas, Director of Community and Corporate Services.
Thank you. And the purpose of this report is for Council to consider advice from the last meeting of the Audit and Risk Advisory Committee. They last met on the 24th of February 2020 and included in this paper is their recommendations, also a number of attachments. On page 140 of your agenda is the Officer's recommendation that Council received and notes the draft minutes for the Audit and Risk Advisory Committee meeting on 24th February 2020 and notes the recommendations and resolutions of the Audit and Risk Advisory Committee that were moved at that meeting on the 24th February 2020.
Any questions for Mr. Thomas, please? No comment or questions? Okay, well, I have an officer's recommendation. Could I please have a mover and seconder? Move, Councillor Henderson. A seconder, please. Councillor Newitt. Any discussion? Any comment, any debate, Councillor Henderson? Councillor Newitt. I'll therefore put the motion. All in favour of the officer's recommendation, please raise your hand. In favour, Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. Item 14.2, minutes of advisory committees. Mr. Thomas, Director of Community and Corporate Services.
Once again, an administrative report for Council to note the minutes received from Council's advisory committees. These have now been through councillor briefing as a change to our process. So discussions at councillor briefing have occurred and a councillor officer's recommendation on page 145 that council receives and notes the minutes of meetings of the advisory committees which have been distributed under separate cover and the 3 meetings being noted: the Reconciliation Plan Reference Group, Mineral Springs Reserve Advisory Committee and the Disability Advisory Committee on the dates included in the officer's recommendation.
Any questions or comment from councillors? No one? Okay, I have the officer's recommendation as read. Can I please ask for a mover and seconder? Moved Councillor Henderson, seconded Councillor Robson. Do you wish to speak to the motion? Okay, I will put the motion. All in favour, please raise your hand. In favour, Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. I now close the council meeting because we now need to move to confidential items. But no.
Need a motion, a procedural?
Yes, I'm just reading the preamble. Okay. Okay, councillors, I acknowledge that there are confidential matters that council will need to consider tonight, outlined in the confidential ordinary council meeting agenda for tonight. Councillors, I'm seeking a motion to close the meeting to the public pursuant to section 662A of the Local Government Act 2020. Please note that should a motion be carried to moving the meeting into confidential, then the meeting will cease to be live streamed and this meeting will no longer be available for the community to view and or recorded. Councillors, I am now seeking a mover and seconder to the motion to close the meeting to the public. And the recommendation is that council resolve to close the ordinary council meeting to the public pursuant to section 662A of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider confidential matters. The information is determined to be confidential pursuant to Section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2020, specifically as it is a council business information, being information that would prejudice the council's position in commercial negotiations if prematurely released, and item 15.2, proposed lease for Wintringham first floor, 68 Albert Street, Creswick. Could I please have a mover and seconder?
I move.
Moved, Councillor Redwood, seconded Councillor Robson. All in favour of this particular motion, please raise your hands. In favour, Councillors May, Kokoczynski, Robson, Newitt, Henderson, Cottrell and Redwood. There being no opposition, I declare it carried. I therefore close the meeting at 7:55 p.m. Thank you for your patience. Please leave the meeting.